Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock. I'd like to call to order the January 17th meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the December 20 meeting. They're in your packet. Are there any questions or comments regarding to the minutes? Is there a motion for approval? Please vote. And it passes unanimously. Next up is consent document. Boy, there's a number of things on the consent document. We're all over the place, from utility customer service kiosks to contract awards to power systems generators. Any questions regarding anything on the consent docket? Seeing none, is there a motion for approval of the consent docket? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And it's passed unanimously. On the concurrence item, there are two items that are concurrence contracts with the City of Oklahoma City, and neither of the projects, actually they're both change orders, neither of the projects involve Aquit funds. Is there a motion for approval? A motion and a second. Please vote. And it passes. Next up is emergency contracts. Item A is a resolution with a emergency contract on Southwest 38th Street for a sanitary sewer project. Are there any questions regarding the emergency contract? Oh, there's two, excuse me. And item B is a resolution for an emergency contract at various locations throughout the city. Any questions regarding the emergency contracts? Is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. Please vote. And it passes unanimously. Oh.
Trustee Stonecipher.
And it passes unanimously. Item 6, items for individual consideration, is an amendment to the professional services agreement with Vanguard Utility Services on the automated meter reading system implementations. Mr. Browning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item was approved over a year ago to automate our meter reading system throughout the city. The contractor has determined that a number of our meters are not aged, and they can be retrofitted instead of replaced. So this is a pretty significant cost savings in that regard. So they have adjusted the amount of the contract by a little over $10 million.
And so basically you're keeping the housing in place and just taking the inner piece out and replacing that?
The register will be replaced, and also the antenna will be installed so that it can be read automatically.
But you're not actually physically removing the housing?
That is correct.
All right. Are there any questions of Mr. Browning on the meter reading modifications? None? All right, is there a motion for approval? Motion second. Please record your vote. And it passes unanimously. Items from trustees. Trustees, any comments?
I saw we had a joint revocable permit we approved a minute ago for the Red Coyote Run. I was wondering if anybody was going to be running in the 2023 Puppy Love Run 5K at Lake Havner.
Where are you going to be running that?
I think I'm going to leave that to Todd.
Other comments? All right. General Manager reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do want to bring everyone up to date on an issue citywide related to water main breaks and leaks. Because of last summer, the temperatures and the and the dryness throughout the summer and throughout the year. We have had more breaks so far this year than all of last year. We are at 111% so far this year compared to last year, and we're just over halfway through
And you're talking about fiscal year.
fiscal year. Yes. In addition, we have had about 2/3 as many leaks throughout our system so far this fiscal year as opposed to all of last fiscal year. So that's putting a pretty significant burden on staff. To compound the problem, we're having the same problem that a lot of other folks are having with labor. We have 40 positions currently vacant in line maintenance. Before last week, we had 51, but we just hired 11 off a job fair. We'll see how that works out for us. To help, we've hired a contractor. That was one of the items here, item 5B, where I declared an emergency to go ahead and get a contractor on board to help with those leaks. We're making some headway, but not a lot. And so I just wanted to let everybody know what's going on. I know that you've heard from the public that we're not repairing leaks as quickly as they believe we should, and it is a matter of fact, but we have been challenged with more water main breaks this year and more leaks this year than last, and we have a pretty significant deficit in staff.
So what do we attribute the increase in leaks to?
Well, when it gets extremely hot, the demand increases, and we have to continue to produce more water and provide it at a higher pressure so that we can get water throughout the entire water system. And secondly, we have clay soils here that are pretty fluid, and when it dries out, they shrink and causes more main breaks in addition. So we had higher demand, shrinking soils. You know, the combination of the two drives the number of breaks and leaks up significantly.
So that was last summer, though, mostly.
Last summer. But, you know, if you look back the last 2 years, we've been below normal rainfall for 2 years. And this last year, we were 10 inches below, and this year, we're already below. So if you compound the multiple years, we've lost about a half a year's worth of rain in the last 2 years. And so the soils continue to dry and shift around. So
Do we have the ability to contract any of that work out?
we're doing that.
Okay, all right.
And in addition to that, we're writing another contract to enable us to bring in more folks. But to be honest, they're having labor shortages as well. They can only give us a couple of crews.
Yeah.
But we're doing everything we can do to try to get this thing better handled. But I wanted to give you all an update on what's going on, why it's going on, and what we're trying to do to improve the response time to leaks. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that our response time to breaks is spot on. And our response time to what we call a Code 1 leak, which is a significant leak, is quick. Now, the Code 2s and 3s are the ones that are suffering right now. We're not able to get out, and the public is absolutely concerned about it. So I wanted to let everybody know what's going on.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Browning? All right, thank you. I'm not aware of any citizens that have signed up to be heard. Therefore, we are adjourned.